Wisdom, wisdom, that's the test. Which rival wisdom team is best? Quote definitions and synergies defined by Claude AI, coordinated by Grandpa Lou Valier. Take care and enjoy.
Team 52. Endure and hope. Quote definitions, biographical context and synergy analysis to replace hate with motivational education to guidealife.com. The final team of 52. The culminating wisdom. Quote 52.1. Human it is to have compassion on the unhappy. Giovanni Boccaccio 1313 to 1375. Quote definition. Compassion for those who suffer. The genuine movement of the heart toward those in pain, distress, or misfortune is not a special virtue of exceptional souls but the natural expression of genuine humanity. To be fully human is to be moved by others' suffering. Compassion is not what the exceptional person adds to humanity. It is what full humanity consists of. Quote application. The final team opens with the deepest foundation of the entire mission. Compassion for the unhappy is human. The work of making America wiser and kinder begins and ends here, in the recognition that genuine humanity expresses itself in genuine compassion, and that every act of the mission is the cultivation and expression of what full humanity already contains. This is not idealism. It is the honest description of what human beings are when they are most completely themselves. Giovanni Boccaccio was born in 1313 in Certaldo, or possibly Florence, the illegitimate son of a Florentine banker, educated in Florence and Naples, and became one of the founding figures of Italian literature. His Decameron, written in the aftermath of the Black Death of 1348, is one of the greatest prose works of the medieval period. 100 stories told by 10 young people sheltering from the plague in a country villa outside Florence, ranging from comic to tragic, bawdy to noble and, together constituting an extraordinary portrait of the full range of human experience. Boccaccio opened the Decameron with the observation that human it is to have compassion on the unhappy, written by a man who had survived the plague that killed perhaps a third of Florence's population, and who had spent the subsequent months writing stories about what it meant to be fully, completely, irreducibly human in the face of that devastation. He understood compassion as humanity's core response to suffering because he had lived inside the suffering that made the response necessary. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Claim compassion as the expression of full humanity rather than the achievement of exceptional virtue. It is not what the unusually good person adds but what the fully human person naturally expresses. 2. Apply this foundation to the mission's entire project. The work of replacing hatred with wisdom is the work of restoring full humanity, the compassion that hatred suppresses and wisdom restores. 3. Begin and end every engagement with a mission from Boccaccio's foundation. Human it is to have compassion on the unhappy, which means the mission is the most human work available, the restoration of what full humanity already is.
Quote 52.2. Anticipate the difficult by managing the easy. Lao Tzu 601 BC minus 531 BC. Quote definition. The great difficulties, the crises, the conflicts, the entrenched problems that seem beyond management, become great through the accumulation of small neglected easinesses. The person who manages what is easy when it is easy, who addresses what is small when it is small, prevents a great difficulty from ever forming. Anticipating the difficult by managing the easy is not timidity, but the deepest available strategic wisdom. Quote application. The systematic cultivation of wisdom and kindness in small daily acts, in the workbooks completed, in the conversations engaged honestly, in the communities served before crisis demands it, is exactly Lao Tzu's strategic wisdom applied to the mission's work. The great cultural difficulty of deeply entrenched hatred is managed in advance by the easy daily work of wisdom education that prevents the entrenchment from becoming irreversible. Manage the easy, anticipate the difficult. Lao Tzu, the old master, is the attributed author of the Tao Te Ching, one of the most translated and most meditated upon texts in world literature, and the founding figure of Taoism. His historical existence is debated. The traditional account places him in the 6th century BC as a contemporary or near contemporary of Confucius, but some scholars regard him as a legendary figure, and the dates in the database, 601 to 531 BC, represent the traditional chronology, whether or not the historical person is fully recoverable. The Tao Te Ching's 81 short chapters are among the most compressed and most genuinely wise texts in any tradition. His observation about anticipating the difficult by managing the easy is characteristic of the Taoist philosophy of Wu Wei, acted with the natural flow of things rather than against it, addressing problems at their inception rather than when they have grown beyond easy management. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Invest in the easy daily work of wisdom education and community building before the difficult crisis demands it, because managing what is manageable now prevents the formation of what will be unmanageable later. 2. Apply Lao Tzu's strategic wisdom to the mission's prioritization. Reach communities before hatred is fully formed. Build relationships before they are urgently needed. Develop wisdom before the situation demanding it has become desperate. 3. Recognize the daily small work of the mission. Each workbook, each community engagement, each honest conversation, as exactly the management of the easy that anticipates the difficult by preventing its formation.
Quote 52.3. The mill cannot grind with the water that is past. Daniel D. Palmer, 1845–1918. Quote definition. The water that has already flowed past the mill wheel is gone. It cannot be recalled, redirected, or put back to work. The productive power of the mill depends entirely on the water that is currently available, and the only question is whether the current water is being used well. Dwelling on the past's water while present water flows unused is the formula for an idle mill. Quote application. Enduring and hoping requires full presence to the available present rather than the preoccupation with what has already flowed past. The communities not yet reached, the minds not yet changed, the past failures that cannot be undone. These are water past the mill. The water available right now, the community reachable today, the person open to wisdom at this moment, the opportunity present and not yet past. This is what the mill can grind. Use the current water. Daniel David Palmer was born in 1845 in Port Perry, Ontario, Canada, emigrated to the United States, and founded chiropractic medicine in Davenport, Iowa in 1895 after what he described as a revelatory experience of the relationship between spinal manipulation and health. He is a somewhat unusual figure to find in a collection of wisdom quotes, but his observation about the mill and past water appears in his writings and is independently sound regardless of its source. The image of the mill grinding only with current water is one of the most precise available formulations of the principle that useful action requires present engagement rather than past preoccupation. His dates, 1845 to 1918, are accurate. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Release preoccupation with the past water, the failures, the missed opportunities, the communities not reached in time, and direct full attention to the current water that the mill can actually grind with. 2. Apply present water focus to the mission. The opportunity available right now is the one the mission can act on, and the past water of every previous occasion is gone permanently and cannot be retrieved. 3. Use Palmer's mill image as the standing redirect from preoccupation with what cannot be changed to engagement with what can, because the mill grinds only with what is currently available, and so does genuine endurance and genuine hope.
Quote 52.4. Knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers. Alfred Lord Tennyson, 1809–1892. Quote definition. Knowledge, information, data, learned facts, arrives relatively quickly and can be accumulated at a pace that formal education enables. Wisdom, the deep understanding of what knowledge means, how it applies, what it requires of us and how we live, comes more slowly and stays more permanently, because it requires not just reception but the sustained engagement, the life testing, and the genuine integration that mere knowledge acquisition does not demand. Quote application. This is the closing statement on the entire project of these 52 teams. Knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers. The facts and principles in these 416 quotes can be learned quickly, but the wisdom they represent, the deep understanding of what they mean and how they change how one lives, lingers in a way that genuine transformation lingers. The mission is a wisdom project, not a knowledge project, aimed at what remains rather than what passes through. Alfred Lord Tennyson appears in Teams 23, 26, and 33 as well. His observations about being shaped by all seen, knowledge coming but wisdom lingering, and half-truths anchored multiple frameworks. Born in 1809 in Somersby, Lincolnshire, and serving as poet laureate for over 40 years, Tennyson was one of the most widely read poets in the English language during his lifetime. His observation that knowledge comes but wisdom lingers comes from Locksley Hall, written when he was in his early 30s, and reflects both his poet's attentiveness to how learning actually works and his personal experience of the difference between the rapid acquisition of information and the slow, persistent, life-shaping accumulation of genuine wisdom. He had written in memoriam, the great elegy for Arthur Hallam, across 17 years of genuine engagement with what grief, love, and faith actually required of a person, and it is the product of wisdom that lingered rather than knowledge that passed through. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Pursue the wisdom that lingers rather than only the knowledge that comes, investing in the deep, slow, life-testing engagement that produces what remains rather than the rapid accumulation that passes through. 2. Apply Tennyson's distinction to the mission's design. The workbooks and wisdom encounters are engineered for the lingering, the reflective engagement, the life application, the genuine integration, rather than for the rapid knowledge acquisition that leaves nothing behind. 3. Take Tennyson's observation as the closing statement on all 52 teams. The knowledge of these principles comes, but the wisdom they represent lingers in every person who has genuinely received and genuinely lived what they offer.
Quote 52.5. Whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. Philip Dormer Stanhope, 4th Earl of Chesterfield 1694–1773. Quote definition. If something genuinely merits doing, if it has sufficient value to justify the effort of doing it at all, then it also merits doing well. The standard of quality is not a separate question from the question of whether to do something. They are the same question. What is worth doing is worth the full effort that doing it well requires, and the decision to do something less than well is implicitly the decision that it wasn't genuinely worth doing. Quote application. The work of making America wiser and kinder is worth doing. That is the mission's foundational claim. Chesterfield's principle follows immediately. It is therefore worth doing well. Every piece of wisdom content, every community engagement, every human connection, worth doing, therefore worth doing well. The standard is not perfectionism but honest consistency between the judgment that something merits doing and the quality of effort the doing deserves. Philip Dormer Stanhope, 4th Earl of Chesterfield, was born in 1694 in London and became a significant political figure, serving as Lord Lieutenant of Ireland and Secretary of State, but is best remembered for his letters to his son, a collection of advice letters written to his illegitimate son Philip Stanhope over more than 30 years, published posthumously in 1774. The letters are a sustained attempt to transmit the full range of practical wisdom, social, political, intellectual, moral, to a son he genuinely cared for and in whom he had invested enormous pedagogical effort. Dr. Samuel Johnson, who received no such paternal investment, reviewed the letters sourly, teaches the morals of a whore and the manners of a dancing master. But Chesterfield's wit, his practical wisdom and his sincere concern for his son's development are genuine throughout. His worth doing well formulation is the most compressed available statement of the quality standard that the letters sustained across hundreds of pages. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Align the decision to do something with the quality of effort that decision implies, because the choice to do something less than well is implicitly the choice that it wasn't worth doing in the first place. 2. Apply Chesterfield's standard to every dimension of the mission. Judged worth doing, therefore judged worth doing well. The workbook, the engagement, the relationship, the content. 3. Use this as the closing quality check across the entire 52-team project. These principles are worth doing. They are therefore worth doing well. The standard follows from the judgment, and the judgment has been made.
Quote 52.6. To keep your secret is wisdom, to expect others to keep it is folly. William Samuel Johnson 1727–1819. Quote definition. Self-reliance in the management of what genuinely matters to you is wisdom. You control what you share and what you do not share you protect. But the extension of that protection to others' discretion, expecting others to guard what you have disclosed, is folly, because others' discretion is genuinely beyond your control in the way your own is not. Wisdom controls what it can, folly relies on controlling what it cannot. Quote application. In the mission's practical operations, this principle applies to what is shared publicly versus kept in trust, and to the honest recognition that once shared, control transfers. More broadly, it is the principle of self-reliance in what genuinely matters. Keep what is genuinely worth keeping, share what is genuinely worth sharing, and do not build the mission's security on others' discretion when the mission's own is the only reliable foundation. William Samuel Johnson was born in 1727 in Stratford, Connecticut, the son of Samuel Johnson, the American theologian and philosopher, distinct from the English Samuel Johnson of the dictionary. He was educated at Yale, studied law, served as Connecticut's colonial agent in London, was a delegate to the Constitutional Convention of 1787, served as one of Connecticut's first 2 U.S. senators, and became the first president of Columbia College, now Columbia University, from 1787 to 1800. His observation about secrets and their keeping is practical wisdom from a man who had spent decades navigating the intensely confidential world of colonial diplomacy, constitutional negotiation, and academic administration, contexts in which the management of sensitive information was a continuous and consequential practical challenge. He had learned from direct experience that the only reliable keeper of a secret was the person who had not disclosed it. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Exercise wisdom in what is shared and what is kept, because what is genuinely worth protecting is protected by not sharing it, and what is shared is no longer within the original possessor's sole control. 2. Apply honest self-reliance to the mission's information management. What the mission genuinely controls is what it has chosen to keep. What it has shared is now genuinely beyond its sole control, and expecting others' discretion is the folly Johnson names. 3. Use this as the practical wisdom principle for the mission's operations. Share what genuinely serves the mission by being shared, keep what genuinely serves it by being kept, and never build security on the discretion you cannot control.
Quote 52.7. If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. Napoleon Bonaparte, 1769 to 1821. Quote definition. The highest standard of any task is most reliably achieved by the person who cares most about its outcome, which is usually the person whose mission depends on it, whose reputation is attached to it, and whose genuine interest is served by its excellence. Delegation without genuine investment in quality is the formula for results that fall short of what direct, genuine engagement produces. The standard you will accept from yourself exceeds the standard you can reliably extract from others. Quote application. For the mission, Napoleon's principle is the standing reminder that the wisdom content, community relationships, and authentic engagement that genuinely matter cannot be entirely outsourced without loss of what makes them genuinely matter. The work that the mission does itself, with the full investment of genuine care for the outcome, will reliably exceed the work done by others who lack that investment. Know what must be done personally, do it personally. Napoleon Bonaparte appears in Teams 18 and 38 as well, where his principles about the rarity of genuine malice and political stupidities, lack of handicap anchored those frameworks. Born in 1769 in Ajaccio, Corsica, and rising from relatively obscure Corsican nobility to Emperor of the French through sheer force of military genius and political intelligence, Napoleon was both the most hands-on and the most delegation-dependent commander of his era, which is precisely what gives his observation its biographical authority. He understood better than almost anyone the difference between what direct personal engagement produced and what delegation without equivalent investment provided, because he had done both at the highest possible scale and watched the results. His principle is the distillation of that observation. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Identify what genuinely must be done personally. The work where the highest standard requires direct investment by the person whose mission depends on it, and do that work personally rather than delegating the standard away with the task. 2. Apply this to the mission's most important work. The wisdom content that represents the mission's genuine thinking, the community relationships that represent its genuine care, the honest engagements that represent its genuine commitment. These are done best by those who genuinely own them. 3. Balance Napoleon's principle with the team principle. Know what must be done personally and what can be effectively delegated, because the mission that tries to do everything personally fails from exhaustion, and the mission that delegates everything loses what only direct personal investment can provide.
Quote 52.8. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? Percy Bysshe Shelley 1792 to 1822. Quote definition. The most difficult season, the coldest, the darkest, the most apparently lifeless, is not the permanent condition but the necessary precondition of the renewal that inevitably follows. Winter is not the end of the cycle but the bottom of it, and the very presence of winter is the guarantee that spring is coming, because this is the structure of the seasonal cycle. Winter always has been followed by spring, and this winter will be too. Quote application. The final quote of the final team is the complete statement of endurance and hope. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? The mission of making America wiser and kinder operates through its own winters, periods of resistance, of slow progress, of the apparent victory of hatred and division, and Shelley's question is the standing answer to every one of them. The winter is real. The spring is also real. The question is not whether spring comes, but only how far behind winter it is, and the answer the structure of a cycle provides is never as far as the winter makes it seem. Percy Bysshe Shelley appears in teams 40, 41, and 45 as well, whereas observations about study revealing ignorance, releasing past and future, and the power of fear as compass anchored those frameworks. Born in 1792 in Field Place, Sussex, and drowned at 29 in the Gulf of Spezia, Shelley packed into a decade of mature writing some of the most visionary and most politically committed poetry in the English language. The closing line of his Ode to the West Wind, "If winter comes, can spring be far behind?" was written in 1819 during one of the darkest periods of European political reaction following the Napoleonic Wars, when the liberal and revolutionary hopes of a generation had been systematically suppressed. He was asking the question as genuine hope in a genuine winter, not as comfortable optimism in a mild season. He died 3 years later, before the spring he anticipated. It came anyway, in the form it always comes, slower than hoped, more complete than feared, the inevitable successor to the winter that seemed permanent. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Trust the structure of the cycle. Winter is real, its difficulty is real, and spring is also real. The question is not whether spring comes, but only how far behind the winter it is, and the honest answer is always, less far than it seems. 2. Apply Shelley's closing question to every winter the mission encounters, the resistant community, the slow period, the apparent victory of hatred and division, as the standing genuine hope rather than the comfortable reassurance. Winter has always been followed by spring. 3. Receive Team 52's final word as the closing statement of all 52 teams. The winter of hatred and division is real, and the mission has worked through it with compassion. Boccaccio, strategic wisdom, Lao Tzu, present engagement, Palmer, lingering wisdom, Tennyson, excellent work, Chesterfield, honest self-reliance, Johnson, personal investment, Napoleon, and now, as the final word, Shelley's irreducible hope. If winter comes, can spring be far behind?
How They Work Together as a Unified Philosophy to Replace Hate with Motivational Education to Guide a Life.com. The Endure and Hope Framework, the culminating wisdom of all. 52 teams. Foundation layer. Compassion as humanity and managing the easy to anticipate the difficult. Quotes 1-2. Boccaccio. Open the final team with the deepest foundation of the entire 52-team collection. Human it is to have compassion on the unhappy, establishing compassion not as the achievement of exceptional virtue but as the natural expression of full humanity. Lao Tzu. Provide the deepest strategic wisdom for sustaining what compassion motivates, anticipating the difficult by managing the easy, ensuring that the compassionate impulse is supported by the strategic intelligence that makes it effective across the long arc. Together, the heart and the strategy of the entire mission. Boccaccio's compassion is the foundation. The mission is the expression of what full humanity already is, the restoration of what hatred suppresses and wisdom restores. Lao Tzu's strategic wisdom is what sustains the compassion in practice, the daily management of the manageable that prevents the formation of what is unmanageable. Compassion as foundation, strategic wisdom as sustaining practice. Presence layer. Present water only in knowledge coming while wisdom lingers. Quotes 3-4. Palmer. Apply the full presence discipline. The mill grinds only with current water, ensuring that endurance is expressed in genuine engagement with the present rather than preoccupation with past water that the mill cannot use. Tennyson. Establish the enduring quality of what the mission builds. Knowledge comes but wisdom lingers, so that what the present water grinds produces something that lasts beyond the grinding. Together, the presence and the permanence of genuine endurance. Palmer's current water ensures that endurance is fully present, using what is available now rather than grieving what flowed past. Tennyson's lingering wisdom ensures that what present engagement produces is the lasting kind, not the knowledge that passes through but the wisdom that remains, transformed into genuine change in how people live and treat each other. Fully present, producing what lasts. Excellence layer. Worth doing well and wisdom in keeping what matters. Quotes 5-6. Chesterfield. Establish the quality standard of endurance. Whatever is worth doing well, ensuring that the endurance is in genuinely excellent work rather than merely persistent mediocrity. Johnson. Provide the self-reliant wisdom that excellent endurance requires, keeping what must be kept, not relying on others' discretion for what only your own can protect, making genuine self-reliance the foundation of sustained genuine quality. Together, the standard and the self-reliance of excellent endurance. Chesterfield's quality standard ensures that the endurance through difficulty is not mere survival but continued genuine excellence, the worth doing well standard maintained through winter as through spring. Johnson's self-reliant wisdom ensures that the mission's security rests on what it genuinely controls rather than on the discretion it cannot. Keep what is worth keeping, share what is worth sharing, rely on yourself for the former. Hope layer. Personal investment and spring following winter. Quote 7-8. Napoleon. Provide the direct personal investment that makes the hope credible. If you want it done well, do it yourself, ensuring that the hope is backed by the genuine personal engagement that makes what is hoped for actually achievable. Shelley. Close all 52 teams with the complete and irreducible statement of hope. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? The question that contains its own answer and provides the final word of the entire collection. Endure because spring follows winter as surely as winter precedes it. Together, the credible hope and the certain spring. Napoleon's personal investment makes the hope credible. It is backed by genuine direct engagement rather than comfortable passive wishing. Shelley's spring question is the hope itself. The irreducible, structurally grounded confidence that the winter of hatred and division is not the permanent condition but the cycle's low point, and that spring follows with the inevitability of the seasonal structure. Do it yourself with full personal investment, and trust that spring is already coming.
Free Easy Extra Advantage Math, Spelling and Reading Workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free Easy Math Wisdom Workbooks with octo repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free Easy Alpha Cipher-coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our Learning to Spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And, if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily, so change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms. Like pretty witty baby onesies and baby tees that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equalities help make us all wiser and kinder with blatantly subliminal messages promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults. You can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today.